Hello everybody, my name is Ali, also known as the Freckled Yogi, and today we are going to be doing a heart-opening yoga practice, particularly for those of you who are working on your wheel pose. So I got a special request for this kind of practice, and I really hope you enjoy. Please feel free to always reach out, maybe via text, which is 240-647-9285. You can reach me at Instagram, my website. Really, there's lots of different ways to get a hold of me and request a special practice. So with that being said, today's class is going to be a little bit more of a moderate pace. My intention is for us to build up a bit of heat so that we can really allow our spine to open up and let our shoulders create a little bit more mobility as well. So as we are going, if you find that something that we are doing is maybe a little bit outside of your comfort zone, a little bit outside of your necessary physical capabilities, then please feel free to modify as we go. I will be offering lots of modifications for you to advance and to make things a little bit more comfortable for you. So as you're going, please feel free to take any of those modifications as you need. And with that being said, let's get started. We're going to find our way to a tabletop position on our mat. So we want to have our hands beneath of our shoulders and then the knees beneath of the hips. Give yourself a little wiggle side to side, a little shift of the weight front and back, and really settle down into the palms of the hands. Feel the crown of the head reaching forward, tailbone presses back. And notice your breath come down to your belly. Let's begin to shift our weight forwards and backwards. Getting our wrists a little warm up. Keep a little bit of a bend in the elbows. And then go ahead and come on back to a place of stillness. Turn the fingertips to the sides or the edges of your mat, and then begin to rock your weight left and right. Come back to stillness. Go ahead and flip the fingertips in so that the palms are facing up to the sky. And if you need something a little bit less intense, you can bring the backs of the hands to the tops of the thighs, and then you can control how much pressure you're putting down into the backs of those hands. Feel your breath continue to make its way down to your belly. And let's go ahead and flip our fingers so that our fingertips are pointing up to the top of our mat. With your next breath in, begin to drop your belly down to the ground and lift your gaze up to the sky. You want to imagine that you're touching the back of your head to your tailbone. And with this next breath out, go ahead and round through the back body, pulling the chin into the chest. Inhale, belly drops down, gaze lifts up. Exhale, rounding through the back body. And return to a neutral spine. Begin to shift the weight into the left hand. We're going to take our right hand, bring it to the back of the neck. Soften into the left elbow. We're going to drop right elbow down to the ground. And then lift that right elbow up to the sky, squeezing the shoulder blades back. And then lower the right elbow down. And lift it up. And lower. Lift. Two more. Lower. And lift. And lower, and lift. Drop the right hand down, shift the weight to the right side, left hand comes to the back of the head. Soften in the right elbow, drop left elbow to the mat, and lift it up to the sky. Shoulder blades squeeze back, drop left elbow down, and reach it up. And lower, and lift. Two more, lower, lift, and lower, and lift. Bring left hand back down onto your mat, finding the hands back beneath the shoulders. As you begin to inhale, go ahead and drop your belly down to the ground. Press the hips back towards the heels. And as you exhale, begin to round through the back body, pulling chin into the chest and shifting your weight back to the top of the mat. Inhale, hips press back, belly lowers down, gaze lifts up. And exhale, rolling forward. So you're going to continue with these rolls. We're trying to isolate the little vertebra in our spine. And so think about rolling through the back body and moving one vertebra at a time. Allowing your breath to be your guide. Finding some nice spinal undulations. Feeling nice and snaky. And let's go ahead and pause at the back. With those hips pressing back towards the heels, begin to puff the chest forward, lift the gaze up, and we're going to shift our weight forward, leading with the chest. Then begin to let the hips press forward, tailbone tucks under, chin pulls into the chest, shoulders up to the sky, and press your hips back. Lift the gaze up, puff the chest forward, shift the weight forward. Tuck the tailbone under, pressing through the back body. Send the hips back. And continue in this opposite direction. So as the weight comes forward, you want to think about dropping down into your cow. And as you send the hips back, think about pressing those hips back as you are in a cat pose. So really just rolling through the back body. No worries if it feels a little clunky or awkward. Just keep on moving. Doing your best to isolate the vertebra. And we're going to come all the way back up, finding our way to a nice, long, still spine. Pulling the tips of the ribs in ever so slightly. Begin to walk your hands out to the top of your mat, and then even take them beyond the mat as you melt the chest down to the earth. Letting the hips lift up to the sky, breathing up to the belly. And roll on up. Walking those arms back in. Go ahead and tuck the toes under and sit back on top of the heels. Now, if this is too intense for your knees, ankles, toes, please feel free to come to an easy seat. Or you could sit in an S-sit. Really just modify this so that your lower half of your body, your legs, are comfortable. Now see if you can get that spine a little longer. Reach the crown of the head a little higher. Let's bring hands to heart center. Nice deep inhale in. And exhale out. Another deep breath in. And a breath out. With our next inhale in, we're going to reach the hands all the way up to the sky. And as we exhale, we'll relax the shoulders down away from the ears. Inhale, lift the crown of the head a little higher. And as we exhale, we're going to reach up and over to the left side. Then go ahead and lower the left hand down to the ground and continue to reach through those right fingertips. Letting that left shoulder press forward, right shoulder pulls back. Breathing along the right side body. Really reaching through the fingertips, feeling the right side lift up to the sky. One more deep inhale here. And as we exhale, we're going to reach the left arm up to the right. Another deep inhale here. And exhale up and over to the right. Go ahead and lower the right hand down. Continue to reach through the left fingertips. Let the left side body open up. Letting the inhale create space along the left side body. One more deep breath in. And let's exhale, lift both those arms all the way back up to the sky. Hands down to heart center, and then we're going to find our way back to our tabletop. If you were in a tucked kneeling position with me, go ahead and flip those feet over and pitter-pat them on your mat. And bring them back to stillness. Wiggling yourself a little left and right, finding your way to a strong tabletop position. Let's begin to tuck the toes under. Press the hips back. Really push down into those palms and lift the knees up, and as you're ready, lift your hips all the way up and back, finding your way to a down dog. Feel free to pedal the knees, wiggle the hips, doing whatever you need here to feel a little bit more comfortable, a little bit more at ease. Let's go ahead and inhale, shift our weight forward, finding your way to a high plank. You are always welcome to drop your knees to the mat. So you inhale, shift the weight forward. Exhale, bend at the elbows, bring the chest down to the ground. Inhale, lift the chest up, squeeze the shoulder blades back. And as you exhale, lift the hips all the way up and back, returning to your down dog. Shifting the weight to the left foot, let's sweep right leg up and back. Pressing through the right heel, keep the hips squared. Shift the weight forward, pulling right knee into the chest, and then drop the right foot off at the top of the mat. As you're ready, go ahead and lift on up. Feel the hips sink down, crown of the head and the chest lifts up. Maybe rest the hand on this front right thigh. Bring your hands to your heart. Begin to fold your torso forward. Really feeling that right hip press back. And then we're going to add in some little shifts of the weight, forwards and backwards. Thinking about pressing this left hip down. And find stillness. Lower the hands on either side of that front foot. Go ahead and drop the left knee down to your mat. Begin to press those hips forward to the top of your space. And go ahead and press the hips back, straightening the right leg, flexing the right foot, puffing the chest towards the shin. And again, come forward. Hands frame either side of that front foot. Go ahead and lift up the left knee and step the right leg back. Feel free to lift your hips right up and back to a down dog, or inhale, come forward. Remember, you can drop the knees. Exhale, bend at the elbows. Inhale, lift the chest, either an up dog or cobra. And exhale, lift your hips up and back, returning to your down dog. Pressing through the tips of the fingers, letting the hips lift up and back, creating as much length in the back body as you are able. Shift the weight to the right foot, lift left leg up and back. Press through the left heel. Keep the hips squared. Shift the weight forward, pull left knee into the chest, and drop the foot off at the top of the mat. Lift on up as you're ready. Feel the hips sink down, left hip presses back a little bit, hands rest on the thigh. Breathe down to the belly. Hands to the heart. Fold the torso forward. And let's go ahead and add in some shifts of the weight. Really think about pressing the left hip back, pressing that right hip forward, and lower the hands down. Drop right knee to the mat, untuck the toes, press the hips to the front of your space. Press the hips back, straightening the left leg, flexing the left foot. Press left hip back, press right hip forward. Puff the chest. Shift the weight forward, hands frame either side of that front foot. Tuck right toes, lift right leg, step that left foot back. Really grounding down through the palms. Pressing the heels back. Keeping the belly nice and tight. Softening in the elbows. Drop the knees down. Shift the weight forward. Hug the elbows in. Bend the arms. Bring yourself halfway down. and lift back up. And again, lower down, hug the elbows in, and lift up. Now maybe you only bend halfway down, and then straighten. That's a great place to be too. Come on back down. Lift up. 2 more, lower, and lift. And 1 more, lower, and lift. Press the hips back, straighten the arms. Feel free to turn the hands, palms face up. And allow yourself to relax down to the mat. Letting the hips melt to the back of your space. Maybe giving yourself a little wiggle. Maybe just enjoying the stillness. Inhale, roll on up. Finding your way back to a tabletop position. Let's go ahead and lower the forearms down to the mat. Go ahead and tuck the toes under. Lift the knees up and reach the hips up and back. Creating as much length in the back body as you can. Feel the shoulders press away from the ears. Feel free to keep a bend in the knees. And maybe play around with the distance between the toes and the elbows. So maybe walk the feet a little closer, maybe walk them a little further back. Keep breathing all the way up to the belly. And walk the feet all the way back, bringing those hips down so that they're making one long line from the crown of the head down through to the heels. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Knees drop down, toes untuck, hips press forward, chest begins to open up, finding the elbows directly beneath the shoulders, creating space along the collarbone. Maybe you want to stay just like this. Maybe you want to bring your hands beneath your shoulders and begin to press the chest up a little bit. And let's all go ahead and lower all the way down, resting one cheek on the mat and bringing the arms along the sides of the body. Taking some deep belly breaths. Maybe even close the eyes. All right, let's go ahead and blink the eyes open. We're going to bring nose and forehead onto the mat. Walk the hands directly beneath the shoulders. Make sure the tops of the feet are on your mat or the ground. Press the tops of the feet down. Feel those knees engaging and lifting up just a little bit. Feel the glutes engage. Really give them a good squeeze. Feel the shoulder blades squeeze back. And then go ahead and lift the hands about an inch off the mat. Really engaging, squeezing that lower body, engaging those glutes. Feel the shoulders squeeze back. And with your next breath out, begin to peel just the torso up off of the mat. Finding the lift just with the strength of the back body. No arm help whatsoever. Keeping your gaze directly beneath of the nose. Keep lifting the chest up. Pressing the tops of the feet down. Engaging the glutes. 3, 2, 1, release. Rest your second cheek on the mat. Release the arms along the sides of the body. And then give your hips a wiggle. And find some stillness. Notice the breath making its way down to your belly. Nose and forehead back onto the mat. Find the hands beneath the shoulders. This time using the strength of the arms and the strength of the back to lift yourself on up. Now maybe you want to stay just like this, focusing on pressing the chest forward, opening up the collarbone, squeezing the elbows in, Maybe you want to try bending the legs one at a time, or maybe even both at the same time. And lower all the way down. Extending the legs long, tucking the toes, pull the belly in tight, press yourself on up. Find your way to a kneeling position. Now, if you would like, you can add in a little extra cushion beneath the knees by giving your mat an added little fold. Find those knees right beneath of the hips. Feel the glutes engaging, pressing the hips forward, and then we'll find our toes tucked under. All right, let that chest open up. Shoulders begin to squeeze back. Remember, those glutes are gently engaged, pressing the hips a little bit further forward. Feel the ribs melt down. Chest opens up to the sky. And then you want to imagine that you're holding on to like an orange or a pomegranate beneath of the chin. So we don't want to let that head flap back. We're trying to engage our deep neck flexors. All right, so everything's nice and strong. Heart is beginning to open up. And this is a fine camel variation. You might want to hang out here. This could be exactly where you want to practice. No harm in that. Now maybe you want to go a little bit further. Our next step is going to be to bring our hands with the fingers pointing down to the ground, our palms on the lower back, fingertips point down towards the knees, then we wrap the elbows in. So now this is your second variation. Again, please feel free to stay here. Our third variation is to lower the hands down to the inner thighs. Still holding onto that fruit beneath the chin, engaging the glutes slightly, letting the chest open up. Now, you are welcome to stay here, or you can bring the hands back to the ankles. Continuing to open up the chest, hold onto the fruit, breathe down to the belly. Now, if this is comfortable, you could even untuck the toes. Whatever feels best for you. Now, if you do have the toes untucked, go ahead and retuck them. Everybody with hands on the feet, bring the hands back to the inner thighs. Everybody from the inner thighs, bring the hands to the lower back. From the lower back, release. And then everyone return to a neutral spine. Let the tailbone press back slightly. Take some deep belly breaths. Sit the hips back and down. And go ahead and fix the mat if you did give yourself that added little fold. All right, now let's go ahead and work on our final two poses for this class. You're gonna swing those legs around and find your heels up at the top of your mat. Sitting up real nice and tall, and then roll down one vertebra at a time, finding your way all the way flat on your back. Now we're gonna walk those feet in and bring the feet in line with the hips, and you're gonna find the feet right beneath of the knees. And if you walk those arms along the sides of the body, you could maybe even bring those heels in so that they touch the fingertips, but if they don't come all the way in, do not worry about it at all. Just notice the entire sole of the foot is pressing down into your mat. Begin to notice a little bit of an engagement in the glutes, feeling them lift up slightly. Feel that tailbone tuck under just a little bit for a moment. A scooping sensation through the low belly as you tuck the hips under. Now from here, with those hips lifting up ever so slightly, let's go ahead and make sure that we have our shoulder blades tucked beneath the body. Really engaging those glutes now. Grounding through the soles of the feet. Pressing the palms of the hands down into your mat. And then begin to drive through the heels as you lift the hips up to find one long line from your knees to your hips and all the way up to your shoulders. Engaging those glutes, squeezing the thighs together.
Breathing up to the belly. And slowly roll down. Now maybe you really enjoyed that bridge variation. If you find yourself in that group, please take that exact same variation. Otherwise, if you're feeling ready to go towards your wheel pose, you're going to follow me, take your hands, lift those palms up to the sky. Flex the hands, really pull the fingertips down towards the face. Then we're going to bring our hands down so that the palms are on the mat and our hands are on either sides of our ears with the fingertips pointing towards the shoulders, hugging the elbows in. Now, if you are going into your bridge variation, that variation we just did, go ahead and give yourself the same setup, drive through the heels and lift your hips up. Now, if you are ready to work on your wheel, begin to drive through the heels, lift the hips up, press those palms down into your mat. Begin to press yourself up so much that you can flip your head and place the top of the head onto your mat. Still notice the elbows are hugging in, glutes are engaged, grounding through the soles of the feet. If you're ready to go a little further, press down through the palms and lift the chest up. Reaching those hips up to the sky, pressing the chest forward. Breathing up to the belly. And bend at the elbows. Lower yourself all the way back down. Everybody releasing the hips down onto the mat at this point and bring the knees into the chest. Wrapping the arms around the shins. Give them a good squeeze. And take some deep belly breaths. Maybe add in these little rocks side to side. Or maybe just stick with the stillness. Whatever you need. Go ahead and release the feet. Place the soles of the feet down on the earth. Hands on the belly. Close the eyes for a few rounds of breath. Gently blink the eyes open. Give the fingers a wiggle. Go ahead and lift on up. And namaste. Thank you so much for taking the time to practice with me today. I hope you enjoyed that short and sweet little practice